Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the once again to the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship, where we just finished off a very hectic and very chaotic Pro-Am race here for the first of many rounds to come. But we turn our heads now to the Pro category now, where we start to see the faster side of the Straight Line Motorsports paddock make their way to the field now. And we'll start our way off to the top now with the Nissan GTR of Elliot Faggoter in the 64. A very quick driver indeed, placed third fastest out of everybody in the paddock. And then we have TJIS 78 again in the, it looks like to be the 78 BMW, of course, in the striking white and pink BMW. And then we have SSM Ure, who continues on from the evaluation sessions in Nürburgring, who brings the Audi RA LMS to the Pro category, the number 77, of course. And then James Head in the number 7 Lexus, as well, as he looks to be picking up a bit of lag. That might be just me, but it could be for, I believe, everyone else. So that might not be good news there. Then we have Superhero 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 in the Lamborghini Huracan, the number 18. He did run an Aston Martin in the evaluation sessions and was amongst the quickest of the first session, but of course has made the switch over to Lamborghini. Then we have Ben L85 in the second Lexus, and then we have Jack Mia in the Nissan GTR, he was up there, he's quick, so he will be one to take a look at as well. And then Hair Razor as well in the Costa Honda NSX, who was racing in the Mercedes, of course, in the evaluation sessions, but now has since moved over to the Honda. And then we have the first Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3, which was the chassis to beat at the evaluation sessions with Swift. So we will take a look now for the rest of the field to make their way in. There's Doug Barrow in the other Costa-sponsored Honda NSX GT3. Once again, Elliot Faggoter showing the pace already with a 201.930 off the bat, so that is a really strong showing indeed. And then James Head, of course, who's popped second, so he'll be one to take a look at. So we will minimize the Discord's chat in favor of the chat for YouTube. So whatever happens on the YouTube, I will not be a part of until after the race. And SSM Ure doing a strong showing in the Audi, so he will be another driver to take a look at, of course. Let's take a ride on board with the Nissan GTR of Elliot Faggoter. So while we wait for qualifying to start up, obviously, we will... So while we wait for qualifying to start off, we will take a quick briefer I will take a quick break myself, and I will take the time away from the commentary box for a little bit, and hope you guys will enjoy the sights and sounds of Mount Panorama with the GT3 cars. And as always, I am back for the bit of qualifying. So now we take a minute to settle down, and then we start getting back underway for qualifying right there. So now 11 cars on the track, and this will be interesting to take a look at. So no pit glitches, so which is the good thing. Yep, no pit glitches, which is the good thing. So everyone on track, 11 cars, will be fortunate enough to get some valuable laps and practice in for the race. So the first man out on track, what's it going to be? It's going to be Elliott Faggoter, and right behind him is SLM Palmer in the Mercedes right now. These guys just wall riding out of that corner right there. So let's take a brief second here to watch these guys, and still, of course, these guys are very, very close to one another as usual. So lap times will be an interesting thing to take a look at for this qualifying session. There's Elliott Faggoter, the first one out, SLM Palmer, the next one in, and then Doug Barrow in the NSX. Superhero now in the Lamborghini, as he gets into the wall, unfortunately for him. TJIS goes past, and then Hair Razor in the other Honda NSX, and then SSM Ure. He'll be the one to take a look at, of course, for this tie. K&K Dot was the one who did not join until before qualifying in another Porsche Island RSR, so another one for the race today. James Head in the Lexus, and then Jack Mia in the other Nissan, and then Ben L85 in the second Lexus. So looks like Elliott Faggoter, and then Doug Barrow looks like he's going to the pits, which is an interesting thing for an outlap in qualifying. So Doug Barrow making his way to the pits now. I do not know what it's for, but we'll take an eye out for looking at that. So let's go on board again with Elliott Faggoter in the GTR. You see the amount of speed that he's carrying through the and he's letting off the lap now to let SLM Palmer by. So I assume he canceled that lap in effect to Palmer being right on him. That's very sportsmanlike indeed. As now we wait for Palmer to be the first one of many to come to set their lap. So as he rounds about into Skyline, oh, and someone's got it on. Oh, and that's Elliott Faggoter, I assume. So he's got it wrong somewhere. He's having a very difficult time. He's having to move out of the way drastically. He doesn't want to get in anybody's way, which is very gentleman-like, of course, speaking. Oh, and there's more contact there. And, oh, and Superhero gets it completely wrong as well into the barrier. So one of the drivers in the number 10 Lamborghini, of course, he was strong-paced, of course, for the evaluation sessions, but of course, not getting it right for the qualifying. So SLM Palmer, the first one to set a lap in the number 24 Mercedes. I'm sorry, again, it's probably, I can't find, yes, it is the 24 Mercedes, of course. SLM Palmer with a 202.431, TJIS with a 204.197, a 456 for, his name went by, 202.956 for K&K Dot. These times are starting to come in like mad, and SLM Palmer, the one up in front. So the running order right now is SLM Palmer with 0.3 up over James Head, who has set second in the Lexus, and then further 87 thousandths down is Jack Mia in the in one of the Nissan GTRs, and then K&K Dot fourth in the 911 RSR Porsche, and then TJIS 78 in fifth for the BMW M6. So that is your current top 5 at the moment. And also to all of those in the chat, do not be afraid to, of course, leave your messages and thoughts for the race, especially to the Pro-Am competitors. We do like hearing the feedback, of course, for these races. Hair Razor, of course, having it set a very good lap. Oh, it looks like these two might be holding each other off, which is not good news, of course. Oh, and that's not good news right there as well. There are still drivers who still have to set some laps. And I assume SSM Ure is one of them, so he will be the one to keep an eye out for. Polymer coming through the chase once again. Set his second flying lap. He rounds to Murray's corner for the next time. Final corner now. And rounds the way to the finish line. What's his improved time going to be? Will he improve on that? No improvement by 56 thousandths of a second, so he's very, very close indeed. TJIS having to go through the pits. Doug Barrow popping his way into fifth, and Hair Razor quickly responds back. Ooh, and it's super close indeed for these guys. 27 thousandths just separate fifth and sixth, so it is incredibly, incredibly close indeed. Superhero in 10th with a 2:08.85. It's now an outlap for SSM Ure. Let's have an on-board lap with him. Turn number 1 he goes. For his first qualifying lap, use as much of the real estate on the exit of turn 1 as possible, and then for the mountain straight towards turn number 2. With just about under 3 minutes left to go in qualifying, he will have 2 more laps to do for his qualifying. He's got to make sure they're perfect right here and right about now. And you can see the negativity from Superhero. This car crap. That is the Lamborghini. Not good news for him, unfortunately saying. And SSM Ure going through Sector 2 right now, through the mountain top. Very, very long set of left-hand corners. And then, of course, running to Skyline completes Sector 2. Where does he fall in? He is currently the fastest man on track by 9 thousandths of a second over Polymer. So this might be the chance to keep an eye out for it. He gets a little sideways out of one of those corners, but I don't think it's going to slow him down too much, but he will probably lose that provisional pole position that he might be looking for as of right now. And while we take a look at him, we still have other people on the track. So SSM Polymer, the man fastest at the moment in that Mercedes AMG. Does he improve? No improvement there by 2.5 seconds, so he's lost a lot of time somewhere on the track. Any improvements to be made? No, as of now. Elliot Faggett jumping to pole with a 2:01.63, and James Head pumping to second with a 2:01.826. And there you go, Jack Mia with the very much improved flying Nissan GTR. That's where you can get all the Tokyo Drift as much as you want. And there you have it as the flying GTR, of course. SSM Ure, 4th fastest with a 2:02.572. Jack Mia on the wheelless GTR, of course. The stewards might want to take a look at that for no tire wear, of course, on that Nissan GTR. So that might be a get it back to the pits and put some tires on it, of course. And then look at these two right now. Benel has looked for a simple improvement. Nothing there. But it is between 3 thousandths of a second between K&K Dot and Benel 85 in 2 different cars, but very, very close times indeed. And Superhero, of course, not having the best of luck at the moment in the Lamborghini Huracan. And Elliot Faggett jumping up in the lead by 2/10 over James Head, so this qualifying session has definitely turned on its head. And this is definitely going to be the last lap for these guys, so it is either you make a lap now or it doesn't matter. So keep your head under your skin, Keep your head down and focus on finishing up those last few laps. Finishing up this lap, I should say. There you go. Final lap at the moment. How is Elliot Fageter for Sector 3? Actually, I say that, but who is the man up in front? I assume it is going to be Palmer. Yes, it is. He is going to be Palmer. He will be the first one to cross the line. Has he seen any time? Has he seen any time gained this whole session after his second lap? It might be close this time. 201, 202, and he improves to third place over jumping SSM Ure, but it is not going to be enough to grant pole position right there. Doug Barrow with a 203.3, jumping him up to 8th place, so that's a strong showing for him. SSM Ure now. What can other people do right now? K&K Dot jumping to 6th right now. Actually, not even moving any positions, but he jumps up some time, extending his advantage. And SSM Ure, oh, he gets it wrong in the final corner, so that's going to be 4th granted for him. How is Jack Mia in the flying GTR, of course? And I mean it literally. Is that going to be improvement? Yes, it is. It's going to be 4th fastest right there for the flying Nissan GTR, and I mean that literally. With a 202.438 to close out qualifying, we still have one more car on track, and it is the Lexus of Ben L85. Can he improve on his 202.959? No, he cannot. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is qualifying. So Elliot Fageter in the GTR leading over James Head and SLM Palmer in that Nissan GTR. So the race now, GTR, Lexus, AMG, another flying GTR, which has its wheels this time, and of course Audi, and then Porsche. And then the NSX is rounding off the 8th and 9th, BMW, and then Lamborghini at the back of the grid. So, I flick on the camera to variable. Who will get the better start of the front two and the others behind them right now? Engines revving up right now. It is time to go racing. When does the green flag fly? It is green flag now, and it looks like it's very squirrely indeed for most of these guys. So we take a look there. Elliot Fageter having it off into turn 1. There is contact and argy-bargy going off already, and K&K Dot has already gone off and lost major ground, of course, in the Porsche 911 RSR. So that's not good. That's not a good start for him, obviously. But we turn our eyes to the front of the field right now. Elliot Fageter going off in the distance. Doug Barrow, who's made an impressive jump up from either 8th or 9th all the way up into 4th. He goes a little wide. Can he keep it out of the wall? It looks like he can. The pro guy's having a better, much cleaner start so far than the pro-ams, and I don't mean that to rub salt in the wound, of course, for the pro-am guys. And it's just, oh, so close indeed. Let's go on board with Doug Barrow, of course. And I have to do the same thing again, unfortunately. It's just, oh, it's just super close indeed. The right wheel drive NSX. And you can just tell it is, oh, so close indeed for these pro-ams. They don't want to get a foot wrong at all, and somebody's got a foot wrong! Is that SSM Ure? Oh, and he might have just, Doug Barrow might have just gave him the room, of course. And SSM Ure falling back slightly, but hoping to make up lost ground nonetheless. Superhero now already gaining time in 9th place with the Mitsubishi, or not Mitsubishi, I'm sorry, the Lamborghini. And then you have the Lexus of Ben L85 and the Porsche, who has that penalty, which he must serve soon. That rounds off the grid. Elliot Fageter and James Head now in the pro category, leading off of lap 1. So a very good first lap for these guys. 1 second clear of them. James Head now 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds clear of Palmer. And then Jack Mia, who finally has his wheels, of course, is in 4th place. And it looks like Jack Mia might be having a run up for 3rd place on Palmer, of course, and it looks like he will get the job done. And so Jack Mia makes it 2 GTRs in the top 3 with a Lexus between them. But don't count the AMG out quite entirely, as he's good and better in the corners. That GTR is super good in the straight line, of course, so don't count it out for granted. And the two Costa-sponsored Honda NSXs, rounding it off in 5th and 6th. So after things have winded down a little bit, we still have the Nissan of Elliott Fageter leading this race. Jack Mia now going away from Elliott Fageter. And someone has gone off. I'm trying to figure out who that is, and that is Ben L85 in the Lexus. So he's had an incident somewhere on the track, and he's lost at least 9 seconds off of 10 plates. And Super Grit in the Lamborghini trying to make up some ground, of course. K&K Don still having that penalty to serve, so he will probably have to give up that position at some point. TJS in 8th place now, trying to make up some lost time. And then look at this tight little battle right here for 5th, 6th, and 7th right there. Doug Hairraiser's going to move over to cover that inside line. And it looks like they might have run him off some time. His own teammate going to have to make him lose some time. And SSM Ure now on the side. They're going side by side now up the mountain straight. But it looks like the power deficit is going to be better for that Honda. So SSM Ure is going to have to make something work in the corners, of course. Is he going to try to slide it down on the inside? I don't think so just yet. But you can tell there is a lot of damage already sustained on most of these cars. After scrubbing it out with one another. SLM Palmer still not letting Jack Mia get away. So he'll be one to take a look at for this race. Then you have James Head in 2nd, and then Elliott Fageter, who continues to lead off into this race. So we'll having to keep an eye on these two for a little while. Oh, has someone gone around? I think someone has gone around. Yes, it is. It's SSM Ure, and he's dropped down massively from 6th place all the way down into 10. So something has gone completely wrong for that driver right there in the number 77 Audi R8. And unfortunately, he's having to make up a lot of time. He's picked up a penalty somewhere for probably having contact with a wall. Let me see if anyone else has a penalty by any chance. I don't think so, but that did not look good one bit, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, that was my pedal set. K&K Dot still letting the pressure on TJIS. So he still has to serve that penalty. I would assume he's going to have to serve it sometime soon. TJIS still letting the pressure not get to him, of course, from the guy behind. Oh, K&K Dot thought about it for a brief second, but of course that's going to give an even bigger advantage for TJIS 78 to get away. Let's take a moment here to go on board with the Mercedes of Polymer, and we'll give you guys a little bit of sights and sound. So I will take another time away as Jack Mia gets it completely wrong, but is still side by side with him. I stand corrected on that break. So let's take a look back at this battle we got going on right about here. Jack Mia gunning wide in about turn number 4, or 3 I should say, and just completely closing down that gap. Back on board with the Mercedes of Polymer. And of course, once again, there's the Lexus ahead of James Head. But Jack Mia is doing a very impressive job to keep that Nissan GTR away and sturdy away from that Mercedes of Polymer. Another car has gone around, I assume? Yes, it is. It's Hellraiser in the 69 NSX, so he's lost down a lot of time somewhere. And SSM Urey picking up a penalty. But now here's another battle right now going on between TJIS and K Don. Oh, almost on the grass, but keeping the real estate as it is. And TJIS has gone off into the grass, and he's spinning around and nearly keeps it straight. I don't know how in the world he kept that straight, but that is some impressive recovery driving for TJIS. And this is where the field starts to spread out from one another now. So now let's take a look. Let's take a closer look back at the rest of the field right now. Let's go on board with the Lamborghini of Superhero right now. He's having to chase down the Audi of SSM Urey. So while this battle unfolds, let's go on board with some other drivers, of course, in the field now. Got SLM Palmer, who is still on point with the Nissan GTR of Jack Mia once again. He's having to really fling the car into the corners as he's just really trying to... really trying to fling the car in and get use as much real estate on the track as possible. Oh, and there's a bit of contact made. Oh, and that's not good news. And obviously that's the gentlemanly thing to do, of course. Get the position back because you don't want to overtake in an illegal fashion like that. So, by the way the car's driving, there is damage on it, I assume. But now, these two have lost time to each other, and these two have lost time to James Head and to Elliot Fageter once again. So while we continue to monitor this battle, let's go down and take a look at some other battles. As these couple of cars now are pretty close to each other. SSM Urey now on board with him from the driver's eye on the number 78 BMW. Oh, and almost gets it wrong into the grass. It's very, very close driving indeed between these two competitors. So this will be the interesting game now between these two drivers. Who gets what and who put the muscle on it. SSM Urey with a very good running, but TJS goes into the inside to the bend. Looks like the Audi slow might have the straight line speed. Can he send it on the inside? Yes, he can maybe. And he gets the position, of course, just like that. But maybe not so fast because that BMW really good in a straight line. He's still got the quarter panel, of course. Still right alongside the Audi of SSM Urey. Coming up for the corner right now. Oh, and he gets a little wide, and he gets it sideways. Oh, and there's more contact. Oh, and that's not good right there for TJS, who loses another position to Ben L85, who is trying to recover lost time after that spin, of course. This battle still raging on between Jack Mia and for Palmer for the final spot on the podium, but of course we won't have a race result yet until about 48 minutes time. So a lot of time still on the track to be had. So while we let things calm down for a little bit, let's take a quick break from the commentary box for you guys who enjoy the sights and sounds. So as you can just see in the background right there, James Head now keeping Elliott Faggoter at bay. 2.6 seconds the gap is now, and will most likely go up over time, but slightly but slowly. So this will be very interesting to take a look at nonetheless. So Jack Mia now having to serve that penalty of 4/10s, and it will definitely give some breathing room for Polymer in the Mercedes. And Doug Barrow, who's 12 seconds behind, been one of the few drivers to not put a foot wrong in this race, but of course just not having the pace as of now to be up at the front. Of course, fastest lap is Elliott Faggoter with a 2:01.606, and then KNK Dot, who of course also has a penalty, so a bit more breathing room for Doug Barrow, and a little bit for SSM Ure, who is still trying to recover from that spin he had earlier in the race. Going down the grid once again, the number 8 Lexus of Benel85, who is of course also trying to make up lost ground after that spin several laps ago. TGIS as well, trying to make up some lost time after his spin as well a couple laps ago. And Hair Razor having to also make up lost time as well. And Superhero also dropping back to 11, so he hasn't had a good day as well. But the good news is all 11 drivers who started this race are still running, so that is the good thing, of course. So let's go back down. Oh, and Jack Mia has binned it. Oh, and that's not good news right there. They must have gotten sideways with each other, so now they're losing precious time as he's losing precious time now to SLM Palmer. I'm not sure what happened right there. So that will be under investigation after the race. I assume he did get sideways with SLM Polymer, but that battle is basically now done and dusted because of the fact that Jack Mia is now 9.3 seconds off of Polymer in that incident, unfortunately. So Doug Barrow now with a little bit of breathing room, and with the field stretched on out, so Elliott Faggoter continues to lead this race with just over 41 minutes to go, and now pit stops will start to become a cycling that will happen in this race. That Lexus down on fuel, so we might have to come in a bit early, probably after this lap. So we will continue to monitor him as he's setting purple sector 1, so he is the fastest of all drivers in sector 1, which is purely straight line speed. Continuing down to look down at the other drivers. Ure will be one to take a look at as well, as he's got a bit of fuel. And that Porsche as well doesn't have the fuel, but will be taking a look at him as well. And Jack Mia, still trying to recover lost time, gaining on Doug Barrow. He's already clipped down a couple of tenths down on Polymer, so he will be feisty to get back up there after an incident with the Mercedes. And James Head has a flashing red indicator for his fuel, so there's no doubt in my mind he will probably be coming in at the end of this lap. And Elliott Faggoter just continuing to go off into the distance. I assume most of these guys will be coming in for their first wave of pit stops. And is still continuing to set fastest purple sector laps off of his 2:01.66 for the fastest lap of this race. We will continue to monitor these guys. Does Elliott Faggoter come into the pits? No, he will do one more lap before coming in. He wants to use every single bit of fuel that he can. James Head, what is he going to do? He will come in. So, first one to the pits will be the number 7 Lexus of James Head in for the Pro category. Polymer will still go on for another lap. And what about Jack Mia? He will be coming into the pits as well. K&K Dot, will he be coming in? Yes, he will. He will make his way into the pits. Doug Barrow will stay out. SSM Ure will come on in. And Doug Barrow will inherit third, probably for another lap. And James Head has popped out in front of Doug Barrow, so he's got a bit of an advantage right now over these two front runners, Elliott Fagater and Palmer, who still have to make their way to the pits. It will be very, very interesting indeed when Doug Barrow will come in, and for the other two drivers as well. TJS still out, staying out in front. Benel 85 has just come out of the pits. Hair Razor coming into the pits. And Superhero has gone off, so I assume he will be coming in as well. He will actually be staying out for another lap. He does have some suspension damage and on the right rear and some bumper damage, so gonna have to coast the car for a little bit. And not really much throw it off the course. Damage is fixed, so he's good to come on through. Hair Razor now coming out in 11th, but just behind Superhero, so that might have mitigated his advantage. It's like slightly. So now we turn our eyes back to the front. Elliott Fagater now, will he come into the pits now for his first pit stop? And he will definitely do so, and I assume Palmer will do the same. So the race leader, the number 64 GTR of Elliott Fagater, is coming into the pits. Pit crew waiting for him. The Ballard coming down. Fresh set of Michelin rubber going on. And SLM Palmer will be coming in too, as I say so. So James Head will have to be on a cracking charge to at least try and jump the leaders, of course. Elliott Fagater with a really good first set of laps. A 2:01.573 for Elliott Fagater, who has jumped James Head. SLM Palmer and Doug Barrow now coming into the pits. Where will these two cycle on out? Jack Mia coming across the start-finish line now. 3 seconds gained. And I say that, it's going to be about 1 second gained on him. SMM Ure has jumped K&K Dot, I assume, in the pit stop cycle. THIS into the pits. And Superhero now picking up once again some damage into that Lamborghini. So now with the first wave of pit stops already commenced, the battle's now pretty much even within the rest of the field now, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 seconds amongst some of these drivers. And we'll have to come down to strategy and just pure pace on what these guys can actually do. Not a whole lot of battles going on for this race. The closest one we have at the moment, at least right now, is between K&K Dot and Doug Barrow. Porsche versus Honda, about 1.9 seconds separating these two. K&K Dot coming out a little later, getting 1 lap earlier than Doug Barrow, so theoretically speaking, Doug Barrow should have fresher tires to be able to slowly make his way back up to 6th position. The tire wear now is starting to come down. Elliott gets very sideways out of that final corner. James Head now crossing the line. A 2:02.8. Let's see what that last lap from Elliott Fagater was. That was a 1:59.3, so that's a very good outlap indeed for Elliott. Polymer, Jack Mia, then SSM Ure with a 2:02.2, saying the fastest laps at the moment of his race, not overall, but his race. He will be one to take a look at. So while we do this, let's take a quick break again and see you guys the sights and sounds of the cars. So we come back to you live here from Bathurst for the first round of the Straight Line Motorsport GT3 Championship of the Pro category. And Elliot Fageter, after 30 minutes, continues to lead this winter race by a comfortable 9 seconds over James Head in the Lexus. And with all respect, it looks like James Head has settled down the lag, and there hasn't been any issues ever since the stream has started. So Elliot Fageter continuing to lead the race, James Head in second, and then SLM Polymer in third, who continues to inherit third place over Jack Mia over that incident. So that incident will be under investigation after this race. And there's Jack Mia now coming through the chase in fourth. A very strong showing for the GTR, of course. He was running at third at one point, so he's doing a very good job right now trying to recover some lost time from that incident. So it will come down to pit stops again. SSM Ure getting back that 5th position, and we'll be on Jack Mia soon within a heartbeat or in a couple laps time. And he's just putting in very representative lap times right now. Last lap, a 2:01 and 7:90, so clearly setting the fastest. He is currently, I assume, the fastest guy on the track right now, just in front of Elliot Fageter, whose last lap was a 2:01.9. So currently, the fastest guy on the track at the moment is, you're looking at him right now, SSM Ure in the Audi R8 LMS. And then there's Doug Barrow in a comfortable 6th right now over Banal 85, who is also trying to make up lost ground after a spin, of course. K&K Dot, 8th place with an 8/10 penalty, and then TJIS now in 9th place, who's also had a couple incidents as well, and then Hair Razor 2 in 10th with a couple costly incidents, who is just not able to capitalize just of yet, so he might be inheriting 10th, and then Superhero now, who is unfortunately a lap down, so he hasn't had the brightest of day, but he will soon have to be making his way for the faster guys. He is shown the blue flag, but he will have to get out of the way of the faster cars that are coming through. Of course, the marshals on the sides showing him the blue flag, meaning he will have to get out of the way soon at some point. And with 27 minutes to go, we will soon start to see these guys come in for their last pit stops as well. And I do apologize, inconvenience for the everybody just blasting the music in the background. I do apologize for that in advance, unfortunately. I do apologize if this gets copyright striked, as a matter of fact. So, if anything, I will continue to resume the commentary with the mic muted. So, for now, I will have to go off until the music dies down, unfortunately. So I assume with all things considered, that everything has died down in my house at the moment. This house isn't very soundproof, unfortunately, so... Oh, and Superhero's gone off again. Oh, that's not good for him, so he's got to have massive damage, which I'm a little surprised he's not. And I'm getting reports that Jack Mia is slightly lagging, which I do not think is the case, but it should be okay for now. With just over 23 minutes to go as I speak. Now it's under 23 minutes. It is getting really packed here. SSM Yuri has lost some time somewhere, so he's had an incident somewhere. His last lap was a 2:09, so I'm assuming he had an incident somewhere on the track. I'm not too sure where, but he's had one. He's had an incident somewhere on the track. I'm not too sure where, as I stated, but he has had one and has lost time considerably to Jack Mia. There is Jack Mia now, coming across the start-finish line to turn 1 as I speak. And there is Jack Mia now, just under 4 seconds behind. So Jack Mia is losing a bit of time, and is now 14 seconds behind on Polymer. So Polymer might have inherited this third, and it's just getting away. And as I say that now, James Head, all of a sudden, is 11 seconds behind Elliott and is now 2 seconds behind Polymer. So this race and dash for second is gonna come close, but slowly but surely Polymer is trying to make the time up, and James Head is doing a good job maintaining that gap. Elliott Fagner, of course, the man of the day right about now, setting the fastest lap of a 2:01.566, so he is definitely showing the true colors of this Nissan GTR, and is just setting the pace tremendously here today, here at Mount Panorama. There's a 1.6 off this lap, so he had an incident somewhere, or it might be the tires just giving up at this rate. But then again, we are coming close to the next set of pit stops, and the last bit of pit stops, of course. So Elliott Faggot is going to continue off once again. So when do the pit stops begin is the question right now. A lot of these guys filling up on fuel, and they could stretch out the tires. There's SSM Ure, there's Jack Mia, and you can see right there, it is getting very, very close between these two drivers here. On board with James Head, and there is Polymer right behind him. And this battle between Jack Mia and SSM Ure has picked up all of a sudden. Last lap for Jack Mia was a 2:05.8. Last lap for SSM Ure was a 2:02.6. So this battle is going to be very, very close indeed. SSM Ure is, if he's going to want to pass Jack Mia, he's got to make the pass before his pit stops, because it's probably going to happen this lap. Jack Mia has better tires, but SSM Ure has been very, very aggressive. How is he going to make the move stick? We'll go on board with Jack. Oh, and there goes the move for fourth place right there. SSM Ure making up the pass, and has now gone back up into fourth. So a very, very good, strong showing right there for that driver right there. And now we will start probably seeing the pit stops happen right now. Now, what does Jack Mia have in store for SSM Ure in terms of trying to get the pass back? Well, I don't think going off-road is the answer to that question, unfortunately. With about 19 minutes left in this race, does Elliott Faggoter come into the pits, or does he still go on go? He does have the fuel to go for a couple more laps, and he is going to keep going to probably try and cover off the field as much as he can. But will James Head come into the pits is the question. He has a lot less fuel than Elliott. And he will stay out for, I assume, one more lap. Polymer will follow, and this battle for second is going to be very, very close. SSM Ure is probably going to have to make that pit stop. Jack Mia trying to close up the gap under braking. Then all of a sudden, this race for the line has become very, very interesting indeed. So SSM Ure is going to come into the pits, obviously, for his final pit stop. Of course, the one less on fuel, so he's going to have to fill up a little bit. And Jack Mia is going to take that fourth place, and he's probably had an incident somewhere on the track, so a 2:08.789 on his last lap, so he's definitely put something wrong on the last lap. Doug Barrow moves up into 5th, Ben L85 coming into the pits, but all eyes are going to be on SSM Ure for the time being to see what can he do to be able to make up that lost time. K-Dot coming in now, still having to serve that penalty. He's had racked up quite a bit of penalties, of course, in this race. TJIS, and then Hair Razor, and then Superhero, who, of course, looks like he didn't pit that long ago, but he is still on track at the moment. So the leader of this race, Elliot Faggoter now, who has moved this gap up to 15 seconds right now, a very strong showing, a 2:01.464, so it continues to show you that Elliot Faggoter, even with the purple sector, for purple sector 3, purple sector 3, continues to show strong pace for this event. So will Elliot Faggoter come in is the question. And he will go on for another lap, so this will be interesting. James Head, I assume, will be coming in this lap with that amount of fuel in the tank. And all of a sudden, this race has really racked up to be very, very interesting nonetheless. James Head will come in now. He will sacrifice the second place position to SLM Palmer. So James Head coming in for his final pit stop. Jack Mia now coming in probably this lap for his final stop, and so will Doug Barrow. So SSM Ure, at the moment, is probably going to make up a couple of positions, but the question is, how many will he be able to make up? We've seen the pace that SSM Ure has had in the past, so it will be interesting to take a look at the moment. So James Head out on track now, and Jack Mia and Doug Barrow coming both into the pits. The fuel's still going in the car. Doug Barrow now in the Honda, still in pits, and SSM Ure is still going to jump him. And Jack Mia is right there coming out of the pits. A very good strategy for these two drivers, and it's going to be very, very close to see what happens. So Ure now in 4th. It's got to has to do a very, very hard charging maneuver to be able to get back up in this race. So the top two drivers, Palmer and Elliot Faggoter, are the only two that have to make their pit stops. A 2:01.355 for Elliot Faggoter, so still showing very, very strong pace with just 15 minutes to go, stretching out the fuel and the tires. Elliot Faggoter does come in now, so he will make his final pit stop of the day. And will Palmer come in? He's exiting the chase now. I assume he's going to come in now. Yes, he will. He will come into the pits right now for the final time. And this is where things start to get interesting for these drivers. Fuel going in still for Elliot. And Elliot is on his way. And that right there might have solidified his first place in the race. And James Head now coming across the line. Let's see if he's lost time or gained any time. About 18 seconds, right? The 19 seconds, so the gap might have remained the same, but Palmer is right behind James Head right now, so this will be very, very interesting to see what will happen between the top two, who are now basically within a second of each other right now. SSM Ure in fourth. Oh, and Jack Mia's had a mass disconnect, so that's not good news right there. Jack Mia having a major disconnection at the worst possible time right now, sitting in fifth. So that's going to move basically everyone fifth down, up a position. So that's very unfortunate news for Jack Mia right there. He was running so well. He had that spin earlier, recovered it very, very well. Up, he was running fourth at one point, but unfortunately, I guess it didn't hold out as long as it could have. So as for SMM Ure, he is going to be solidified fourth comfortably, but he's going to have a major deficit to work up now. And Palmer has made the move on James Head for second place, so that's another position gain for Palmer right there. And what will James Head do now in terms of trying to get back up there? So the battle for second place now getting to be very, very interesting right about now between these two drivers who are separated by only half a tenth over each other. This is going to be a battle down to the wire for these two drivers right about here. Who can make the right moves at the right time, obviously. On board with the number 7 Lexus right now of James Head. That's just so close indeed between these two drivers right now. At first it was Palmer trying to catch up onto Jack Mia, but now of course Palmer has moved his way back up into second right about now. Probably James Head going a little bit wide, and Palmer fortunate enough to have that gap stretched a little bit more. The slipstream and the power is going to come in that Lexus. The AMG is a quite similar car as well, so this will be interesting nonetheless between these two racers right here. And while that battle is unfolding, let's take a quick second to gander down at the field. SLM Ure now still running in fourth pretty strongly. Ben L85 making his way back into the top 5 after having an early spin, and has been very fortunate enough to be able to make his way back up into the top 5. So that's very good news for him. And then we have another battle right now screwing up right now between the number 13 Honda and the number, I want to say that's the 04 Porsche at the moment. But K&K Dodge still having that penalty to serve, unfortunately, so he's got to make that work. So he's got to slow down, serve the penalty, and make some time up. And then another battle, of course, between TJIS and Hairraiser as well, between the BMW and the other Honda of Hairraiser, and then Superhero not having the best of luck at the moment. He was still down the pecking order, unfortunately. So 3 battles going on at the moment. We got James Head and Palmer right now up there. And then we got this battle right here for 6th overall. And then we have another battle which just has stretched out fairly significantly, just by a second. But we will continue to monitor this battle because it is the closest one and the one that is highest up the order at the moment. James Head now getting the gap back down to just at half a second. He will continue to put the pressure on. Looks like the slipstream might be keeping these two close, if not getting them closer to one another. So exciting racing ahead to be coming between these two drivers. They're both 21 seconds off of Elliot's time, but Elliot might be the one just to... He doesn't have to risk too much. He can just simply breeze off into the distance and not worry about much. And as for the other battles here, nothing has changed yet between the other four drivers that are battling in the two separate battles. Doug Barrow still in front of K&K, and TGIS in front of Hairraiser at the moment. And the gap stretched out significantly. Doug Barrow and K&K still within 3/10 of each other, and it's getting very, very closer to each other indeed. Can K&K try and make a penalty? Or make a move, of course. I didn't mean to say penalty. Always going to try and make one move and make it stick, but they're going to fight each other out. Doug Barrow now still keeping the elbows out, but somehow K&K Dot still got the muscle to power to the final corner. Who's going to be late on the brakes first? It is going to be Doug Barrow first, who keeps the position. What a very good fighting chance for K&K Dot, obviously. What brilliant racing between these two drivers. It's going to come down to the very end of this race with just under, or should I say just over, with 7 minutes to go. The battle between James Head and Polymer is still not done yet, and this is going to be for second position and in third position. So points, 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 they matter in this championship. It is, you can't play the race like it's a preseason evaluation. You have to play it like it's the race itself. And these two are going to be very, very close to one another. Less than half a second between each other. It's all so tight, playing for keeps here in this championship right now. And while these two are fighting each other off, Elliot Bader continues to lead off in the distance by a comfortable 22-second lead at the moment. Let's go back to the other battle between Doug Barrow and K&K Dot. Just over half a second. And then the gap between TGIS and Hairraiser, 1.2 seconds as well, so we still got a lot of time left, but with about 6 minutes to go, or roughly 3 laps, this will be an interesting race to the finish. Oh, this is the closest that James Head has been to this whole race, and it's going to be very, very interesting indeed when the dust settles and when the race is over. So, like I said, in the Pro-Am race, this is for the pro guys as well. We will have our post-race interviews once again after this race. So, at the moment, Elliot Fagner continues to lead. SLM Polymer second with a comfortable 22 seconds. And then Polymer holding on to second barely over James Head, who has led second most of this race, but under that second final pit stop, it has shuffled the running order slightly. Very much throwing it into the corner, obviously, just trying to get as much maximum grip, as he can. 7/10 now is the separation between these two drivers, so it will be very, very close between these two drivers. SSM Murray still comfortably holding off into fourth place. A very good recovery drive for him after having that spin earlier on in this race. And then the same thing goes to Benel85 as well. Comfortable top 5 finish for him, of course. 8/10 separates the gap between Doug Barrow and the Costa-sponsored Honda, and then the Adidas/PlayStation-sponsored Porsche of K&K Dot. 9/10 between these two, TGIS and the BMW, Hairraiser and the Honda. It's just another fight still to be decided at the end of this race. Elliot Fagner now coming across the line with just over 4 minutes now. He will most likely have about 2 to 3 laps to go. But these two now, still not done yet. They will most likely have 2 laps. And at this rate, Elliot Fagner will be taking the win by at least a lap over the rest of the field. Rounding the final corner now. Half a second now still. These two are giving it everything that they've got against one another. And it will be an interesting and daunting fight to the finish. So let's keep our eyes out for this battle right about here. Nothing yet changed for Doug Barrow and K&K Dot. I'm still monitoring those very, very tightly as well. And once again, this race is not over when the And when the musical chairs, when the music stops, they will determine who gets what in what positions. Gamechat now completely thrashing it in the corners right now, giving it everything he's got now into this race. Just amazing stuff that these guys are giving it through the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship right now. Of course, there are some times where it gets difficult to race, but then sometimes you have moments like these where you keep your head down and you completely maximize off into the distance. Now, 23.5 seconds for Elliott. That is a strong showing for the Nissan GTR, the number 64, of course. And this battle's still not done yet. Pretty much going to go to the wire here. And then let's continue on now. SSM Ure with the 7/10 penalty he has to serve. And K&K Dot has gotten past Doug Barrow, but he has to serve that penalty. So I'm not sure how he is going to serve it, but it is going to be interesting to see if he can hold on to that 6th place. 1.1 seconds now. This might be the best time to serve that penalty and be able to keep 6th place. And Hairraiser has gotten past TJIS, so that's another change to position right now. But TJIS is going to try and make the move stick once again. BMW going on the inside of turn 2. Oh, it's super close indeed between these two drivers. Oh, and Hairraiser gets a little sideways out of that corner, but is just able to keep the car straight for the most part. Oh, and Doug Barrow the same thing as well. He doesn't want to throw the race out away. That 6/10 penalty is still there above. K&K Dot, this race is coming down to the wire for most of these drivers. What about the drivers? Oh, and that's SSM Ure as well, who's gone it off. Oh, he's got to get quickly back on the course because BenL85 is quickly approaching. We might have another battle still coming in, and it's just, oh my goodness me, it's coming down to the wire sooner than later. So we might have another battle right now, defending on the inside. BenL85 might convert this into a 4th place. BenL85 on the inside. SSM Ure has to do some massive defending work, so this battle raging on. BenL85 on the inside, but SSM Ure still keeps it on the outside, keeps it onto the ground. And this battle for 2nd and 3rd is pretty much done. 2 seconds the gap right now separating these two. But then the battle right now for 4th is still raging on right about here. These guys are almost out of fuel. What can they do to each other? This is probably going to be the lap determines and all, and SSM Ure has forced his way on through. It is just amazing stuff that we're seeing here for most of these drivers. K&K Dot still with that 6/10 penalty. He's got to serve it at some point. And Hairraiser has lost a ton of time somewhere on the course, so unfortunately that might be day done for him, obviously. And Elliott Fageter with about 25 seconds left on the clock. He will have another lap, of course. But unfortunately, that means the checker flag will fall for these guys right about here, coming to 2nd and 3rd. And SSM Ure is fortunate enough to stretch out that gap and be able to make 4th place work. Elliott Fageter now has crossed the line, and he will be able to finish this lap, but that means it will not continue on for these gentlemen right about here. Pollard now will come across and finish the final corner on lap 29. And he will take home a hard-fought and hard challenge to 2nd place right now. What a strong showing for him, of course. And James Head, who gave it all, but just couldn't power through, gets 3rd. SSM Ure now, who had that late spin, is able to luckily hold it on and be able to keep it 4th on his first outing in the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship. And the same thing goes to BenL85, who had a really strong recovery in that number 8 Lexus, and will take it to 5th place. Final corner for this gentleman right here. Ure coming across the line for 4th, and BenL85 coming in for 5th. Now K&K Dot has got to serve that penalty. If he wants to do it, he has to do it now. I'm assuming he doesn't know that he has it, but I think he just served it right there, and he was able to keep on to 6th, so that's good news right there. And Doug Barrow, of course, coming across the line 7. TJIS now coming across the sector 4 line now in 5th. Or I'm sorry, 8th place. I apologize. So a strong showing for this man in the 78 BMW. He will come across the line and be able to take 8th place. He's got the fuel to do it, which is a very good thing. Hair raiser right now. Hair raiser right now will come across in 10th. He will let Elliot Faggoter will come on through. But the story of this day is it will be Elliot Faggoter who will take his first win of the season in the Pro category and win the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship Round 1 Pro race at Bathurst, and then Superhero, of course, in the Lamborghini, having a very tough day, but finishing it off in 10th. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the race for winner for Elliot Faggoter in the Straight Line Motorsports GT Omega Racing sponsored Nissan GTR. What a great day for this truck. What a great day for everybody, of course. So let's get on and invite our fellow compadres now into the commentary box. And let me invite the people who were able to finish this race. So there is Elliot, James, and Palmer. So let's invite these guys in to the commentary box. And we wait for them to join in on the race. So there is your race result right there. Elliot Faggoter, fastest lap of the race with a 2:01.310, who's just set that lap on his 28th lap. So a very good, strong showing performance indeed right there. So we will wait for the rest of the guys to come in to the commentary box and be able to cast some post-race interviews, of course. Let me invite them again just to make sure. There we go. Okay, so, and like I said right again, lap charts, of course. Just nobody can match Elliot. Just some technical data for you guys. Pit stop cycles, of course. Elliot Faggoter just completely untouched for today. And, of course, just the one who was able to power it on and be able to make it all work out. So, while we wait for... So there is SLM Polymer, who has able to come through to finish 2nd place. And so, Polymer, explain to us your race and how that went out for you, obviously. I don't think he might be able to hear me. Polymer, you there, bud? So I guess we will continue waiting for most of these guys. I will tell them in the Discord that. So now we continue to wait for these racers to come on in. A very strong showing for a lot of these guys, of course. Let's take a look once again at the results. Elliot Faggoter winning the race in the 64 GTR. SLM Palmer coming through for a hard-fought P2 over James Head, who was just right behind him, of course. And then SSM Ure and Ben L85 round off the top 5 in the Audi R8 LMS and the RCF GT3. And then it's K&K Dot in the Porsche 911 RSR, who was able to hold off and be able to score 6th place. And then Doug Barrow in the NSX GT3 for 7th, TJIS in the M6 GT3 for 8th, and then Hair Raiser in 9th, and then Superhero rounding off the top 10, of course not having the best day. And so we have our first place man, Elliot Faggoter, that has just joined the party, obviously. So Elliot Faggoter, congratulations on the win. Tell us how your race went for today.
It was alright. Didn't really see anyone except for the lapping, which was a little unfortunate. It's a shame that I didn't have more of a fight, but you know, people are always going to say, "Oh, why didn't you back off then and wait for people?" Nah, that's not what racing is. But otherwise, it was great. I don't know how I was going faster with a full tank compared to a empty tank. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, great race, and yeah.
So it looks like you had your work cut out for you today. You finished about a lap ahead of the rest of the competition right now. I assume Palmer is still in the chat, and we do wait for James Head to come on into the commentary box. There is James now as I speak. So James Head, very competitive race up there. You did hold on to second for most of this race, but in the end up there, Palmer pretty much had you on edge and was able to get through to you on the pit stops and was able to hold on to secure second. It was a very close fight right there, but 1.5 seconds was the difference between you and Palmer at the end of the line. Tell us how your race went, James.
Yeah, my race went actually much better than expected. I wasn't expecting to get anywhere in qualifying. P2 was a bit of a shock. And the car lacked in a lot of pace. And I mean, my God, it was like turning in a double-decker bus at times around the Mount Panorama. It was honestly that bad. I'm actually surprised I managed to get a podium out of all of that.
Yeah, sounds like it looked like that the Mercedes was giving you quite of a challenge on the straightaways, obviously. But other than that, was there anything else that could have probably could have gone your way, except for the fact that most of the field kind of around you was just SSM Ure was up there a little bit, but of course he had a couple incidents as well. And then of course Jack Mia, who was running in the top 3 at one point, he had a DC unfortunately. So I guess your race couldn't have gone any better than it did today. Maximum points for you, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic point score for me. It is a shame that Jack did decide to lag out, as per usual, with his Welsh connection. But, yeah, Palmer gave me a great race in the second half. That race especially just had me for pace. Happy with third, and on we go to the next round.
All right, well, that was James Head right there for third place in the race. Palmer, bud, can you hear me, bud? And I do not think Palmer is around, unfortunately, so we cannot get much of an interview response for him. But I do have one more question for Elliot Faggoter. Was there anything more than you could have expected for today's race, obviously?
It's a shame that we had a couple of people drop out towards last minute due to card choices, despite being told what the case would be with that. It's just a shame because they had pretty decent pace. But apart from that, yeah, there's not really much else I can say. It was a great turnout in the end. And I'm just looking forward to the rest of the races.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first of many rounds to come for the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship. We will, of course, be visiting the next round of the season. Let me get up the calendar. Suzuka, okay. We will visit Suzuka in about 2 weeks' time. I appreciate Elliot for giving me the answer to that question. And we will... So, we race winners for today. Kyle, 22, in the Pro-Am category, and then Elliot Faggoter in the Nissan GTR in the Pro category. So, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe and stay strong, and we will see you at Suzuka for 2 weeks' time. Take care.